of the way. All right, Tim, let's shift gears now. And let me make a mental note there real quick. We're going to talk now about these roster moves, and we'll keep this to about 10 minutes, but I want to get your take on all of these. People were going, why do we care about the futures? This is the stuff that rounds your roster out sometimes. You know, when you're going into an off season where you've got to re-sign players, right? And you don't know who's going to be back or whatnot. What you're kind of doing is building the basement with these type of players, right? You're building that floor, that foundation. Like, okay, if this guy, and this guy, if negotiations fall through and we're not bringing them back, and we don't find somebody in the draft, these are the guys we're going to have to lean on as a backup plan until we get somebody in here, maybe at a further stage, camp cuts, then you can replace the players that left, that type of thing. So these are guys that you obtain rights to, right? And you now have them for the foreseeable future on a futures contract. People have explained to me before, it's essentially you've got rights for 3 years is really what it comes down to. I don't know if that's the case or not. You guys do your own research there, but here are the 16 Packers or players that were signed a futures contract for the Packers. All right. Tackle Brant Banks, defensive lineman Dante Barnett, guard Carson Barnhart, defensive lineman Anthony Campbell, tight end McCollin Castles, that's the kid from Tennessee, I believe. Tackle Dalton Cooper, tight end Drake Dabney. We've talked about him a little bit. Defensive lineman James Esther, going to continue to be on the practice squad in the bottom half of this roster, obviously, Tim. Kicker, Lucas Havrisik. People are probably getting the misconception I don't like Lucas Havrisik. I love Lucas Havrisik. I was so happy when he made the trip to New York, and it was like, okay, they cut him, but they're obviously want to keep him in the future. I think he's a great dude. I think he's got potential to be a good kicker. You know, he's shown he got the franchise record for the longest kick now, right? So he's got a big leg. I'm just so sick of my wife trolling me about this, man. So,
man, he's not going to let you live it down.
Never do. Never. Cornerback Tyron Herring, linebacker Jamin Johnson, which, by the way, Jamin Johnson didn't play a whole lot of snaps this year, but his PFF grade looked pretty promising. It was kind of, I was a little impressed. Like, hey, maybe there's something there. Maybe that's guy we look up in a couple of years and go, all right, he's actually a contributor. Maybe someone kind of like a Christian Welch, where at times I know you and I, Tim, we were excited about Christian Welch being on the practice squad, and you can elevate him when you need him. I thought he showed flashes. So
that's what you want to see with these guys, right? Limited reps, limited opportunities, but you're maximizing them, and you're jumping off of the tape, and you're jumping off the stat sheet. It's a good sign.
Yeah. Next, this is one I'm really excited about. And it's the picture I actually included right here. Love this dude. Love his running style. Love the fact that they've got him signed here. Damian Martinez, the running back from Miami that we talked about, right? He was like ranked 102nd on our big board. We had him pretty high on the board. I'm excited to see what he does moving forward. Safety Mark Perry, wide receiver Will Shepard, running back Pierre Strong Jr., another guy that's very interesting. He's been in the league, I want to say 3 or 4 years now. And tight end Messiah Swinson, to reserve/future contracts. General Manager Brian Gutekunst announced transactions Monday. All 16 players finished the season on the Packers practice squad or spent time on it during the 2025 season. So, Tim, I want to get your take on all these, maybe one or two that jumps out to you. The big thing that you look at when you look at these players, the fact that all 16 finished the season on the practice squad or spent time there, they're familiar with the system. They're familiar with Green Bay's facilities, how they operate in practice. I don't think people put enough stock in how valuable a practice squad is, because if you practice, what is it? The piss poor practice, something about performance, as the old saying my high school coach used to say. You're only as good as you practice. Period. Case closed. I'm sure Coach Lynn will attest to that. So you got guys that are familiar with the practice squad, familiar with the team. I think these are good moves, and I think it's only a matter of time, if he doesn't get cut, that we see Damian Martinez potentially get some playing time maybe next year, because we don't know what's going to happen with the backup running backs, right? So anyway, what's your take on all these players here, man? I thought it was a pretty nice list on the surface. Not all of them will be here, right? There'll be some shuffling, but I like the base here.
I agree, and I like your comment about practice squad players. This is modern day NFL, right? That's your developmental program. Think about these guys. They're going against the ones. They're going against the ones and twos all the time. That's why they're there. And if they get an opportunity to step up, make a little noise, you play your way onto this roster, you could become a superstar in the NFL. It's happened before. And I agree with you about Martinez and Pierre Strong for that matter, especially with, the question marks around Marshawn Lloyd. We don't know what the future holds for him. Hopefully that he'll be able to be healthy enough to play some football for us at some point. But names that jump out to me are, of course, that Colorado Buffalo Will Shepherd.
Of course, I thought of you.
Been talking about him for 18 months, man. Yep. Good to see him. And Messiah Swinson, another guy in that tight end room that I think is, right up there with Drake Dabney as guys that are kind of next to step up and make an impact. You got Tuck Norris coming off injury next year. We need to have a healthy stable of tight ends that can both, be a threat in the pass game and also get out there and block someone to the water cooler. So I like those two names as well. And then on the defensive side of the ball, James Esther, that's one that kind of popped out to me, someone to keep an eye on also.
Big boy, James. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. I like the list. Let me hit the super chat and then I'll give my take on the list as we get ready to wrap that segment up. Jake Erton with the super. Thank you so much. Since Goot generally attacks multiple positions in the draft, I'm hoping they look at doing so with corner and O line. By the way, you said my name right, Clay. Good deal. Look at the redneck getting it right.
Nailed it.
There you go. Doesn't happen very often. Y'all enjoy it. Bask in the glory for a second. Corner and O line. I can't argue with it, Jake. I think it's two positions of need. Yep. I don't want to say this, Tim, because I try not to fan like this. I try not to single people out, but I'm done with Key, man. I want to move on from Key. I just don't want him on the team. He made a comment today, and it's just mind-boggling. I mean, he basically said, he hit every one of his goals this year, and he was happy with his performance, and it's just like, what player says that? Like, what great player throughout the history of football or any sport, Tim, goes, yeah, I hit all my goals. I'm happy with the way the season went. Like, you're either getting better or you're getting worse, right? And then to commit. So, first of all, people in the comments like, Super Bowl wasn't a goal? That wasn't a goal on your list? Like, what are we doing here, And then the other thing was, how can you be completely happy with that with all the penalties that just the silly penalties you committed? I'm not talking about pass interference or holding or anything, right? Just the personal foul penalties and doing stuff, jumping on the pile and all. I don't know, man. It rubbed me the wrong way. It really did. So corner, I would put that on the list. I'm excited to see if they decide to run with Trayvon Diggs. And the way that's going to unfold, guys, I'll have to look at the structure of his contract and at what date they have to make a decision. I imagine it would be somewhere around training camp or the end of camp. Maybe there's a clause in there that they have to pick up his salary at an earlier date. Sometimes that stuff's in there.
My question would be where are we at with Key's contract? He's got a year left, right?
Yeah, I've got it right here, Tim. Keyshawn, he's on the cap for $7.1 million this year, okay? And if you cut him outright, you free up $5 million. That's how that works.
So we might get two birds with one stone kind of scenario, right?
Yeah.
Keep Trayvon and let K9 go back to Cali or, find another opportunity if it's time to move on, right?
Yeah, and if it were me, and again, I'm not watching practice, and maybe the coaches don't see as much value in him, but if they look at Trayvon Diggs the way I look at Trayvon Diggs, I'm keeping him. I'm going to try to lower that number. His cap hit is $15.5 million. I'm going to try to lower that, and that may come through a restructure where we meet in the middle. We'll guarantee a little bit more money for you, write you a check, but let's lower the overall number a touch. It's a pay cut, but you're getting guaranteed money as opposed to you having to play through the season, and then obviously you get hurt and there's no more future money and all that, right? So that comes into play just a touch. But if you move on from Keyshawn, you free up $5 million. And you look at it as a cornerback room as a whole, that kind of lowers Trayvon's number down to $10 million. And now if you save more money overall, with a restructure, let's say you get his cap number down to $7 or $8 million, or I'm sorry, you get it down to $12 million, which essentially with minus Key is down to about $7 million. I feel better about that. Essentially what you're doing, if you're able to do exactly what I just said, it's like you're kind of back to square one with Keyshawn being on the roster or not being on the roster, but the cap hit is now allocated essentially towards Trayvon Diggs. And I do think Trayvon Diggs, based off all the tape I've watched on him, is significantly better than Keyshawn Diggs. So,
and I also think there's a lot of validity to your point when it comes to the culture conversation. Jason was talking about that earlier. You need a culture change. Well, sometimes that means just, moving a couple chess pieces and, getting the right guys in the room all across the board,
All right. Coach Lynn with the comment here says, it's always me with Key. Not the first time he said something like that. I mean, you guys remember it was this time last year at Locker Room Cleanout when he got under a lot of fans' skin, and the media was talking about it, where he said, I'm done returning kicks. I'm cornerback one. And it was like, damn, what happened to I'll do what's best for the team,
Well, and see, and that's why my brain goes right to when you hear that, you think about those kind of comments. It's like, this guy's not taking a restructure, right?
No, yeah,
it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, probably not. So, and I do think there's a decent chance that Rich Bisaccia won't be back. We'll see. We did a video earlier today. You guys go check it out, where we talked about in 2019, they denied Matt LaFleur enough money to go get one of the top special teams coordinators in the game. And obviously that bit us in the ass for the next 3 years. And then they finally said, okay, let's go spend money. We spent it on Rich Bisaccia, obviously. Mixed feelings there on whether they think, the special teams problems are his fault, or if it's roster building, or if it's on strictly the players. That's an argument for another day. But I completely agree, Coach. It's just a bad look, man. Deadfish says he wants to play with Parsons. He knows that pass rushers make him better. Talking
about Diggs. Yeah.
Great point.
That's a great point. I love that.
And again, you're building that locker room cohesiveness, that culture, right, Tim? You want these guys that enjoy playing with each other to be in the same locker room together, man. They play for each other, right? So you get a little
it's
more.
So hard, right? You got 11 on 11 out there. You need 11 guys to move in unison. Everyone's got to do their job every snap. It's an uphill battle always, but that's a big part of it for sure.
And it's why I got excited about the comments about Matt LaFleur from the team captains. It's you could tell they're kind of taking it personal. Like, I think they'll play even harder for Matt next year, to be honest with you. I think they're going to come out like, okay, they think he's the problem. Let's prove him wrong. You know what I mean? Type thing. It's kind of the vibe I get there. Coach Lynn says Rich is gone. Book it. I'm getting the same vibe, Coach. We should find out pretty soon, though, right? As this coaching carousel continues on. But if you guys are watching this video back later, let us know in the comments, how do you feel about these Packers roster moves? Obviously, 16 future deals here. Let us know. Maybe there's a player on there that we didn't go in depth on that you got a little more information about. That's not a substitute teacher that you like extra good. All right. If that's the case, let us know in the comments which one you like the most. Maybe you disagree with one. We want to hear from you. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon. So you notify when we go live here in the near future. All right, Tim.